It's not like it's a medicine or anything like that. It's a totally alive food, and it's made from organic aloe vera sourced off the high volcanic soils in Mexico and harvested by really lovely Mexican families. And it's been blended with 9 really specific nutrient-dense sea vegetables sourced off the coast of Alaska in a place called the Regeneration Zone. And a lot of people, it's a concern for a lot of people, you know, is that area got any pollution and that sort of thing. We know that it's a very, very pristine place, and the product is also harvested sustainably, so that's quite important for a lot of people. But what we have seen with Jerry's story there, and I know for my story, I actually went to a lot of trouble of cleaning up my diet to try and resurrect my health, and what became really apparent to me was minerals play a huge part in us being really balanced and healthy. And if those minerals are not in the soils, because we know that there's a lot of information out there today that those minerals are not in the actual soil, so therefore they can't be in the food. So we're actually running really fast today with all the things that we try to fit into a day, and we're not getting enough minerals. And every single action that the body goes through relies on minerals. They're like the little spark plugs of your body. So I know a lot of people always say to me, yeah, I'm really well. It's like there's another whole level of wellness above that wellness experience that you might be already having. So Body Balance makes a huge difference to people's lives. I think it's a very unique product because it's unpasteurized and it's alive. It's full of enzymes, and it's very, very easy for the body to process, absorb, utilize, and it's into the cells really quickly. And then our body can do things with it. One of the key things that they've done with combining aloe vera and the sea vegetables is because we're not the Japanese. We haven't been, brought up on sea vegetables. And so we don't have the special enzyme that the Japanese have. So we might eat sea vegetables, we may have sushi, but we can't access those nutrients. So they've put aloe vera with that because aloe vera is the highest oxygen containing plant on the planet, and it is the delivery system to get those sea vegetable nutrients into our cells where they're usable. And so we see tremendous changes with people when they use this product because it's so accessible to the body. So what the product does, I'll just give you a wee summary on that, is some of the feedback that we see from people, relatively early on, but there's different things that people see over time, and one of them is there's always extra energy that the body gets when the cells are functioning properly and getting all the nutrition that they need. Better sleep, which is really important. A lot of people don't sleep deeply and they don't even dream, so that can be enhanced greatly. Better bowel function, and I know for a lot of women with the hormonal fluctuations that go on, it interferes with our bowel. Better memory. Who could do with a better memory? It's always a good one. We'll ask you some tricky questions and see who really needs Body Balance shortly. So some of those things, but more flexibility, better recovery time if people are into sports, things like that. So it's a really special product, and what I'm going to do now is invite Seamus to come up. And we've got a few products here ready to give away to some lucky people. And Seamus will ask some questions and see how good your memories are.
Righto. We'll go for the invited people, not the people who are already on the product. So who can name one of the benefits? Yep, it's good. Yeah, it's easy. Any other benefits?
Better memory.
More energy.
Sorry, what was that?
There's another one.
More energy.
More energy.
better bowel functioning.
Better bowel function.
Too easy.
Ask them some hard ones now.
Right, can everyone remember the doctor's name who signed it at the start? Yep.
Whoa.
Right, Kevin, you got any questions?
How many years has the company been going for?
30 years. 30 years.
We've got about 3 there.
Better give out some sticks.
Just steps in, yeah.
Yep.
You guys are pretty good.
What's the founding, the owner's the name, the founding couple's name?
Oh, that's an easy one. Come on.
My name's Jerry.
Woo!
Yeah.
Very good.
How much more are we going away from now?
Well,
Right.
a third. So
A
we
third?
probably
Kevin?
Whereabouts is the aloe vera harvested from?
Let's go. Angela, let's go.
No, that was sea veggies from Alaska. That was an alert test. That was a trick question. Sure.
Another question?
Yep.
One more.
How many sea vegetables are in the product?
We're going to do a survey.
Someone who has answered mine but hasn't had a prize, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure some of the new people get some goodies.
How much more?
Okay.
There's enough in there?
Well, we've got 2 more to give away, so maybe one more question and maybe.
Oh, it's a special one.
That's a special.
Special question.
Go, mate. Go.
Tests our memories.
I've got one. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, has anyone got a low immune system?
Yep.
Anyone that hasn't received a prize got a low immune system?
Yep.
Two up. Tahibo, you've got Tahibo 1, 2,
Got 2 Tahibos out? Yep.
Okay.
and something else for that third person. Maybe that lady there with the osteocrocare.
Oh,
lady
yes.
with the crutch.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
no worries.
that's
I wasn't
going
waiting
to
for
be
you.
fun.
All right, thanks, Davis.
Yeah. Amazing. I just also, before I carry on, I just want to do a little acknowledgement because all these goodies that are coming and handing out to you guys so that you can trial it, you know, our top quality products, and they're all courtesy of our managing director, who I'll introduce later, David Raphael. So I really want to acknowledge him for being so generous. Right, now this is all about the stories and hearing what it does for people. So right now I want to invite Sarah to come up the front with me. So, yeah. Thank you, Jackie. So, I'll let you introduce yourself and just come up a little bit further and have to speak nice and clearly.
Okay, my name's Sarah, and I came across Body Balance through our daughter, who at 7 months old was pretty much covered in eczema all over her body. Her face was really bad, she was inflamed. Looking back now, probably from birth, we always thought that she was our little raspberry, and that was just her complexion. But at 7 months old, it just burst out her face. Her eyes were puffy, weepy. I was applying as many creams as I could throughout the day, 5 or 6 times, just to try and stop her skin cracking and just making her life painful and miserable. So I then went down the path of her diet, took her right back to complete whole foods. We were growing a lot of our food at the time, so I was like, okay, it's as good as I can get, organic, and it made very little difference. I went and saw many natural practitioners trying to find something. I was Googling. I became probably quite obsessed with fixing her. And as a mum, I'm sure a lot of people could relate to that you just want to fix your people. And then after, it was about a month and a half of me just looking many different things, I was introduced to Body Balance, and at that time I was like, I will try anything. So yep, no problem. And because she was only 7 months old, I started drinking it because of her age, and she got it from me. And after about 3 months, her face had calmed down. She, instead of it being all over her forehead, her cheeks, around her neck, her body, legs, her face had calmed, and she just had it down the sides of her cheeks and around her neck. So it was still quite bad, and on her body was still inflamed. So she scratched a lot, and it did interrupt with her learning and development a little bit because she was just itching all the time. After about 3 months, not only did I notice in her an improvement, but myself. We had gone through a Christmas of having 10 people in the house, and I had gone from previously, I thought I was pretty healthy, eating good food, growing it, pretty careful with my diet, and I was, previous to that, I'd been sleeping about 3 hours every day. The moment that the children went to bed, I would go to bed as well, sort of like drag myself through. And then after the Christmas time, when we'd had a house full of people, I suddenly thought, I've stayed up till like 10 o'clock at night, I've not rested every day, I still did a little bit during the day, and I had loads more energy, and I just thought, that's interesting, didn't think much more of it. And then just before Matilda's first birthday, I put her on it directly. And within 9 days, or within 12 days, 3 days after, I sort of looked at her and I thought, that's strange. It looks like she's improved even more. 9 days later, I took some photos, and the inflammation in her body was dramatically reduced. She is now, how old is she?
She's your daughter.
She's 21 months old, and she is pale and pasty like her brother now. So the inflammation has gone almost completely from her body. Her immune system has built up strength by strength. She still has flare-ups if, like tomatoes or something, but previously I could not distinguish what would flare her up. And now, I can pretty much say, okay, that was it. Her recovery is much quicker. Instead of it being 2 weeks of inflammation and scratching, it's within sort of 2 days, she's right back. Her face has calmed down, her body's calmed down, and she has little bits just in her creases, and that's becoming less and less, and it's quite amazing really. As a mum, I just look at her and I'm like, I cannot believe I got her back. And then in myself, my own health, I feel like I'm back in my mid-20s.
Yes.
Yeah, bring it on. I have so much energy, it's awesome. I can keep up with our kids. I can give them more than what I was, and I'm staying up. I have far more productive time, like they go to bed. It's like a whole nother world for me now after 7 o'clock. And when I do go to bed, I'm sleeping a lot deeper, and I wake up in the morning and I feel like I'm ready to go, which is fantastic. And as a mum, I'm sure a lot of other people, like parents, you can go, I want to keep up with my kids. So yeah, I've probably gone from about, I'd say, I thought I was about a 5 out of 10, but in reality I was probably maybe a 3. And now I'm sort of getting there. I know that I've still got more, maybe an 8 or a 9 now. So that's really exciting.
Yes. So there you go. That's another thing that we get to see from Body Balance is the skin improves. So whether there's issues with the skin, like in Matilda's situation, amazing for me to see the changes in other people, but also anybody who takes the product, I see their skin change, the quality of their skin. It's absolutely amazing. So right now I want to invite up Lyndall to come up and share a story as well.
thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to tell my little story, and it'll be very brief. I have been taking Body Balance for about 2.5 years, and I was just taking it to get well. And only recently I've started talking to people about it, so that's very exciting because I've started to help quite a few people. But I had quite bad arthritis, and it was just like needles going into my joints constantly. And I'd tried all the glucosamine and the chondroitin and everything else out there for joints, and nothing worked. So I was in Chris's shop one day, and here was this bottle sitting there, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" She said, "This is fantastic," and she was going on about it. I said, "I'll have some." So I got some there and then, and within a month I had no more arthritic pain at all, and I was almost at the stage of thinking I needed a hip replacement. It was so sore. And I'd lie in bed at night and truly just like needles into the joints. So it's amazing, and you know, I can now open the the tough jars again and bend and stretch. So I'm, apart from that was my main reason for going on it. But everything, as Jackie said, skin, hair, nails, vast improvement in everything, and total well-being, sleeping like a log, digestive system is regular. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
So go for it. Thank you.
Rightio. Next I want to invite up Seamus, not to do more giveaways yet, folks, but to tell a story.
Okay, for me, I was already healthy when I started on Body Balance. I was pretty fit. I was racing mountain bikes, and so for me, Body Balance was just about winning races. That was all I was interested in, was the results. Really, I wasn't like you hear about the sea vegetables and the aloe and all the things in it. That sort of washed over my head, and all I wanted to know was, how does it work? You know, how's it going to work on me? So for me at the time, we live in Golden Bay, so I was riding the Taka Hill like 50 times a year to keep fit, racing at a national level, and yeah, so it was all about that for me. And it took about 6 weeks for me to really notice the changes, and to notice the aches and the pains from training were there, and to be fresh after a hard ride, and to fit more into the day. So yeah, so that's where I came into it, and it was that's great. And from that, once you know you're healthy and you're fit, I got the racing side out of it. My family goes on to it. You see your family grow in front of you. You see them start to flourish. That's a pretty cool feeling too. And so, you know, for me, it started as a product, and it started for something for racing. You tell your family about it, a few friends, and down the track it ends up sort of growing. For me, it ended up growing into a business. It wasn't something I came in to do, but it's pretty amazing now because I do get an income from it, and it's been a progressive thing, and it's and now we're going through a bit of a change. We're shifting and things like that, and the life force income is helping us to do other things in the transition. So yeah, so that's me.
Fantastic. Rightio. Well, right now I want to invite up a really special guest. We're very, very lucky to have our Managing Director of Australasia with us on this tour. And David is an amazing man. He's had a lot of experience in this industry, and I find him amazing to deal with. We've got the most interesting system because we've got the companies, or the founders of the company who you saw there. The business is now, it's a real family business. It's been passed down to the daughter Marjorie. And then there's us who are out there sharing with passion the product. And David is the go-between. And you know, if David can help us out in any way, he's so accommodating. So he's an amazing man to work with a huge amount of knowledge, and really generous with the giveaways. So I want to give a really big welcome to David Raphael.
great MC. Have a hearing for Jackie. Thank you for that warm welcome, Jackie. I do what I do because of people like yourself and so many other people around Australia and New Zealand. My job's really easy. I get to work with some of the most amazing people here at Life Force. You guys never cease to amaze me. And Nelson, what have you done again? I mean, you guys have really turned it on. Each time I come here, the room seems to get fuller and fuller of people. You lay the weather on and everything's just so beautiful. There's so many people here, and I've met most of you before. I love coming here. Jackie mentioned that this is part of a spring tour that we're doing. We've been been on and off planes more times than I've had hot dinners, in and out of hotels. I am totally stressed out, but loving every minute of it. There's just so much happening. Cliff's timing at the back, he said, David, we need you off here as quickly as possible. So I'll try and get in as much as I can. He's got that old lasso going over there. We want to share with you as much as we can in the shortest possible time. It's always very hard. Sometimes we might forget to give you some of the answers to questions that you might have. So we're going to be around here after the meeting finishes. It's really quite amazing that, and I've been with the company now into my 13th year, and I've just seen just phenomenal things happening. It's been the most amazing journey of my direct selling career, and I've been in direct selling now pretty much getting close to about 25, 26 years. I've worked for so many different companies. I've never worked for banks or governmental organizations. It's always been a direct selling company. I've met the good, the not so good, the bad, the ugly, and the great. And I put Life Force right up there with the very best. Sure, we've got some great products, we've got a second to none compensation plan, but it's the people, it's the community, it's the love sharing, it's the leadership, it's the support that drives me. It's almost like this very cohesive, synergistic, co-creating, co-executing. It's not an us and them. It's just people working together to create the very, very best. So everybody has a win-win situation. So I just want to go through really quickly and just share some of the excitement that we're currently having, telling you where we're at, where we've been, but more importantly, where are we going as a company? Okay, you saw the first video as people were coming in. That was actually taken here in Nelson in March this year. And that was themed, It's Our Time to Shine. And we were at the Rutherford Hotel, we had the Abel Tasman Park. It was a great event. Wayne and Jerry Hillman were here, Marjorie Lynn was here, and she got indicted into a new role as CEO and president. And there's a whole new leadership in the company now. There's the second generation of Hillman family that's come through. And already we've seen some amazing, amazing growth. Last year, we were in Coolangatta, and we had an event there, and that was themed making a real difference. And the year prior to that, we were back in Nelson, and that was themed turning your dreams into reality. All those themes actually connect based on where we are today, and when you've got the power of community, it has to obviously transition into growth. How many people were at the event similar to tonight was it in May this year? Were we in Nelson, Jackie? I think it was May when we did the road show. April or May. How many people in the room actually were at that event? So most of you haven't heard what I'm about to say, and for those of you that have, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but when you've got good, powerful news, it's always good to hear it 2-3 times. There's a global financial crisis. Other parts of the world aren't as fortunate as we are in Australia and New Zealand. But in 2011, now companies that break even on a prior year, as far as their top line's concerned, their profits, their gross profits, if they break even, then they're doing pretty good, because so many companies, sadly, are losing a lot of money and laying people off. So for a company to break even is good. For a company to make anything between 0 and up to about 9% growth, you're doing very, very well. To get into double-digit growth, you're doing excellent. In 2011, we had 72% growth in New Zealand on the prior year. 72%. Now, 2010 was up on 2009 by about 33%. That's here in New Zealand. Australia didn't do as good as you guys did. We did about 52% in 2011 to 2010, and the 2010 to 2009 year was about 23-24%. But as an ANZ company, our results were absolutely mind-blowing, staggering. Now, to get that, a lot of things have to happen. A lot of people get very successful, a lot of people made rank, a lot of new customers came, and a lot more product went out, a lot more commissions were paid, etc., etc., etc. So the formula is very simple. When people out there sell the product, the company makes money, people earn a lot of commissions, a lot of product, and that exposure goes on and on and on. Having said that, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Nelson's, what, 43,000 people, I think, give or take, 1,000? If I walked into the middle of, what's the main street, Trafalgar Street? And stood up on the highest building and said, how many people have heard of Life Force? How many hands do you think would go? 5, 6 maybe? How many people do you think have heard of Body Balance? Very few. So with that growth, the potential we have to continue to grow is absolutely staggering. It's overwhelming. This is in our markets in Australia, in New Zealand, in Singapore, and in the United States. We haven't even scratched the surface, guys. Okay? One of the things we do as a company, we belong to the Direct Selling Association. We're part of that wonderful industry called direct selling. And worldwide, direct selling engages something like 100 million people and all the different direct selling companies around the world, generating revenues worldwide of about maybe 120, 130 billion dollars, depending on, give or take a billion. It's interesting, the majority of people in the industry are women. Look around the room, guys, we're totally outnumbered. That trend is right here in our markets over here. Something like 80% of the people in direct selling are women. Entrepreneurial women that obviously are looking for that business opportunities, they can spend time with their families, and we have that all here at Life Force. I had this, I want to read this to you real quick. I sit on the board of the Direct Selling Association in Australia as a director. I'm one of 6 CEOs/MDs that are actually nominated by all the member companies to represent the association, the board, for the benefit of the members. So we're actually sworn in. In New Zealand, I'm the vice chairman of the board. Same deal, there's about 6 of us. And every year, the DSA in Australia and New Zealand, we run a convention, and it's generally up on the Gold Coast. And we have a different theme, and the theme for March next year is today and tomorrow. Simple, today and tomorrow. I want to read one little paragraph. Today, we face the challenge of this rapidly changing environment. Today is the past, and tomorrow is the future. When adapting our business to change, we must not forget that tomorrow is built on today. I want to add something to that, because today in Life Force was built on yesterday, and all the yesterdays, and the yesterdays, and the yesterdays going back to 13 years. The year before I joined Life Force, this market started to grow. And in New Zealand, you got 4 million people, give or take. There's more people in Sydney than the whole of New Zealand. And it is staggering. If you did a comparison per capita, this market over here is absolutely on fire, but still grossly lacking in exposure. You'll hear stories from people tonight that have built thriving organizations from tiny little coastal towns of Golden Bay and Takaka and Nelson, and they've reached one of the highest echelons of rank. So you don't have to be in a city with 20 million people to succeed in this business. And I want to pay tribute to those people, because when I speak to people, and I've done this in all the different venues I've been at, when I speak about support, and I wanted to spend a couple of minutes in sharing with you the support. And I might jump in any time, Jackie or Manfred or Cliff, if I leave names out, because it's very important, because Most companies that I've worked with in direct selling, there's companies within companies. So someone rang up from Perth and says, hey, Bob, you know, I've got a friend that's going to be in Hamilton. Can that person come to your meeting? More than likely, Bob would say, well, you know, there's no benefit to me to work with one of your team. It's not that way at Lifeforce. The tour started in Sydney, I think about the 29th of September. It's been a long trip since then. And one of the leaders from Melbourne flew down to Sydney to support the Sydney team. That same leader flew to Singapore to work with me, with the Singapore people. Another lady called Christine flew from Melbourne to Perth to support the Perth people. I want to pay tribute to the two gentlemen at the back of the room, Cliff and Manfred. Manfred's a 3-star diamond, and you're going to hear from him later on. And Cliff is also a diamond, and they are foundation, pioneer leaders of this market and Asia Pacific. I've been flying from Auckland, well, Sydney, Auckland, Napier, Wellington, Nelson, tomorrow Christchurch, then Queenstown. These guys are going by car. They've been driving all over this beautiful country of yours. And last night, after the amazing meeting we had, they got in their car and they had to get a ferry to come over here. That is commitment. We had Penny and we had Jackie Neary from Nelson that were in Wellington. Jackie is going to Christchurch and Queenstown. So that support system that you have, I've never seen that, guys. So if anyone here is taking a look at a company, and you know, you might get a bit bamboozled about the phytonutrients and the trace minerals and the ultra minerals and all these wonderful little bits of jargon that come out, there's always someone here that can help you and assist you and answer all your questions. And if they can't answer your questions, they'll pick up the phone and call someone on the other side of the world that will. And we have many, many people that are chiropractors, health practitioners, naturopaths, journey practitioners, and that's very, very, very common in the business that we have here at Lifeforce. Leadership, I've covered that. You know, I love the analogy where the word seasoned leadership. A seasoned leader is someone that's hit the brick wall many, many times. It's not all being, you know, smooth sailing. Roger Federer didn't become the #1 player in the world in tennis. He failed many times before he succeeded. And these guys have failed many, many times. They are here today because they believed, they had the vision, they knocked those barriers down. So I love that little analogy with the DSA that we're using next year, that before you go into today, look where you came from, look at your yesterdays, and these guys have done that. And that's why my job is so easy. So when Jackie gives me all his accolades, and I say right back at you guys, because you make my job so much easier here. Guys, I'm nearly done. The month of October, that finished yesterday, has actually seen us I would probably know this for sure tomorrow because we're one day in front of the United States. I always tease people in America when I go there, and because sometimes they get confused, they're not sure whether we're behind or in front of them. And I tease them, I said, you know what, the world cannot possibly end today because tomorrow's already started in the southern hemisphere, and they kind of like laugh about that. But in the month of October, now guys, this is all about rank advancements. You hear about that from Manfred and Cliff later on, because the business, 80%, maybe 85, maybe 88% of the people that buy that product are everyday customers. They just want to take the product and enjoy the benefits of that product. Everything in this company is built around that product. There are people that still take the product but want the business side of it also, over and above the product. And in the month of October just finished, we have had the most amazing month. I'm still getting the numbers through. My phone just beeped at the back of the room there. Somebody else has made rank because the numbers are still coming through. We're still effectively in October based on the way we close our books in the United States. So the US have now closed for the end of October. We have had something like, I think 19, maybe 20 people that have reached the level of bronze. And there's a whole bunch of them that are coming out of Nelson and Christchurch, and we're going to meet them all tomorrow. A couple of people have made gold, there's platinums. It's been an amazing month. And we've just rolled out, as I mentioned earlier on, that new product in little mini bottles, which is the zapped up sea vegetables and aloe vera. And you know, what we've done is we've taken a great product, added a bit more oomph into it, kept the price exactly the same as it was, and we're saying to people now, you know that 45-day money-back guarantee we had, guys? We believe in our product so much, we've doubled that. 90 days. You can buy that product, take it home, consume it, ring us up, say, I didn't like it, whatever, whatever, whatever. No questions asked, we give you your money back. 90 days, guys. That's now started effective November 1. Finally, there's so many other announcements. I would ask you guys to, if you're looking at Life Force, we'll be making some announcements about new product that's coming out on the market, and weight loss products, meal replacement products, cold and cleanse products. We've got to go through a few hoops to make sure it meets the requirements of our very, very regulated and stringent market here and in Australia. And, you know, I like that, because by the time we get a product out to market, you can be assured that it's gone through a very rigid testing to ensure that it meets the requirements here. Guys, I'm very excited to be here. It really is. It is our time to shine. We are shining. That light is getting bigger and bigger. It's like a raging inferno. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to be around after the meeting if you have any questions. Enjoy the evening. We've got a lot of stuff to give away. Speak to the person that brought you here. Have a lot of fun. I'm going to keep coming back here, guys, because you are growing in leaps and bounds. Thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it back to Jackie. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, David. And as you heard, some of you may have been a bit confused about the bronzes and the golds and all of that sort of language. This is just about, we've got a word of mouth business here, and I challenge any of you to have a product result and keep it a secret. It's just really hard to do. So this is all about, we love the product, and if you share it, you can change other people's lives. It's a phenomenal product, honestly. And so now, speaking about phenomenal products, Seamus, do you want to come up and give us some more products away? Yay!
Right, I think.
Questions?